Let's talk about DENDY Cinemas. The DENDY Icon Group is one of Australia's leading independent cinema and film distributors, comprising of Icon Film Distribution, DENDY Cinemas, and video-on-demand service DENDY Direct. The group focuses on quality feature films, TV, and alternative content within the Australian and New Zealand markets. The group is owned by Mel Gibson and longtime producing partner Bruce Davey, who are the key principals behind the independent film company Icon Productions. Then further down the page, Icon entered the exhibition business in 2008, acquiring one of Australia's leading independent cinema chains, DENDY Cinemas. Founded over 70 years ago, DENDY Cinemas operates 27 screens across New South Wales, Queensland and the ACT, exhibiting the best in quality cinema and alternative content. You know, when I lived in Sydney about 15, 20 years ago, I went to a DENDY cinema to see some French arty film. I wasn't interested in the film, but I was interested in the girl that asked me to go. Turned out the film was actually more interesting than she was. But anyway, back then, the DENDY billed itself as a trendy, hip place that showed films that you wouldn't see at the major movie houses. Well, it turns out the DENDY is no longer trendy. Red Pill film, feminist protests, blackout cinemas. A Sydney cinema has become the latest venue to cancel a screening of men's rights film The Red Pill, which has been the subject of feminist activist protests since it was released. DENDY Cinema Newtown in Sydney's inner west canned a sold-out screening of the film next week. The screening was organised by Fan Force, which was last week told their planned showing was cancelled. Fan Force is understood to be disappointed with the cancellation, and despite multiple attempts to contact DENDY by the Australian, the cinema did not return calls or emails. So it looks like DENDY's just trying to wait this one out until it all blows over. Well, I suggest we make the storm a little tougher to weather. So check the description for a link to the DENDY's contact page and let them know what you think of their overt cowardice. And while you're at it, you might like to sign the petition on change.org to put further pressure on the cinema. Now, the petition mentions Bettina Art, who I've featured on this channel many times before. She's working in conjunction with Fan Force to get more screenings up and running. So if you're interested in arranging a screening in your area, Fan Force can help you organise that. Now, in yesterday's video, I mentioned a young woman named Renee Gorman who was trying to organise a screening of The Red Pill at Sydney University. Well, last night she appeared on the Bolt Report on Sky News. Now, I know it's often easy to dump all over the millennial generation. I do it myself sometimes. But I think it's really important to support those in the younger generation who believe in and stand up for free speech. And this girl certainly acquits herself well. And at the risk of using an overused phrase, she is woke to the antics of the authoritarian left.
Renee, thanks for joining me. What made you interested in putting the film on for show?
So I first read about The Red Pill online a few months ago, and then I heard about the bannings in Melbourne. So I sought the film out and decided to watch it myself. And to be honest, I was confronted by the film because I do think it is a slightly uncomfortable film to watch as a woman. But I feel like most of the uncomfortable things in life are the important things as well. So I had just become involved with 3 clubs at Sydney University: the Conservative Club, the Students for Liberty or Libertarian Club, and BroSoc. And I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to come together and show this film, because conservatives and libertarians, we may disagree on some things, but we all agree on freedom of speech.
And although it made you feel uncomfortable, is that a reason for banning it?
No, not at all. It made me feel uncomfortable because I think it's much easier to wrap yourself in the little safe blanket of feminism and play the victim than to look at the shades of grey in the gender debate and not play the zero-sum game that the extreme feminists really want us to play.
Right. Let's talk about the student union. What happened there?
So on the 11th of April, the USU sent out an email to the executive of the Conservative Club and the Students for Liberty saying that they were pretty much throwing us out of our venue that we had booked, and they were banning us from any venues that were union venues, so free to use venues for any clubs on campus. This is why we pay our fees. So they also banned us from using any printing facilities and having anything else that any other club has access to when they hold an event.
Well, the student union put out a statement saying that it had received complaints about the planned screening that you were organising, and after investigation it said the union decided this screening, this film, would breach the regulations covering the university clubs that you're a member of because there was and I'm quoting here, a distinct possibility that this film would be discriminatory against women, and it has the capacity to intimidate and physically threaten women on campus. Do you think that's a fair criticism? After watching it, did you feel scared to walk around the campus in case someone might attack you?
No, not at all. I really think these claims laid at us were absolutely ridiculous, and I don't see how anyone who's actually watched the film all the way through could come to that conclusion. I also find it really funny that the left try to champion women's empowerment and the strength of women, but in this circumstance, they feel like they need to protect our fragility and protect our virtue and shut us away from this nasty, evil film. Instead of letting us have an open debate on campus, let us have an open discussion, including the women on campus, treating us as intellectual equals.
Well, I think it's bizarre, don't you, Renee, that here is a film made by a woman, produced by a woman, and a woman's trying to screen it, and in comes the student union saying we've got to protect women, you women, from this film that you've made, produced, and put on. I mean, this is ridiculous. You're being babied, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think it really shows that, you know, the left try and say that they hate white men the most, but what they hate equally as much, or if not more, are people that don't fit the moulds or the labels that they assign. So I'm a female, I'm from a rough background. By all their accounts, I should be on their side, and so should Cassie J. But, you know, we're traitors, and what's worse, we're trying to protect men.
Well, is there any evidence? Because I read that statement that, you know, it has the capacity to intimidate and physically threaten women on campus, etc. I saw most of the film. I've spoken to Cassie J, the director. I can't see anything that would actually lead women to fear violence. And I'm the father of a daughter. I mean, I'm sensitive to this stuff. Is there any evidence in your view that the union bosses who closed it down actually saw the film?
Not from their comments. So I really don't see how any rational human being could come to the conclusions that they did if they had actually watched the film the whole way through. Also, USU has been very hesitant to actually engage in any kind of debate with me. So replies about, you know, them banning us and our stance, they did not reply to. They just keep going out to the media making these outlandish comments and then sneaking back into their corner and not actually engaging in the discussion.
Now, I understand you're trying to organise an alternative way of seeing the film, and for anyone that is watching and thinking, listen, either because you're interested in the film or because you want to be, don't want people to shut up and determine what you may or may not watch, you can organise your own screening through a thing called Fan Force, F-A-N Force. Look it up on the internet, or Bettina Arndt has details on her website, so you go ahead, Fan Force. Renee, what are you doing about this?
So we're going ahead. USU can block us from union venues, but they can't actually throw us off campus. Only the university can do that. So we're pulling together our funds from each member of the group, and we're going to pay for to hire our own private lecture venue on campus. We're going to pay for all our printing, for advertising. I've already paid for the licensing. And the new venue that we're trying to get can hold 160. So if we get over 100, we'll make money back, and hopefully we'll be able to donate that to a men's charity.
And you're okay about security, etc.?
I think that's a problem that we're going to have to face, but we'll kind of cross that hurdle when we get there. But we hope that the university will show us the respect, and that our fellow students will show us the respect to let us show this film on campus.
Renee Gorman, thank you so much for your time. I admire your courage in sticking up for a debate. Good on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
So I think it'd be great if she could rally the numbers she needs to make her money back on the screening. So if you're in a position to do so, perhaps you're a Sydney University student, consider going along to see the film. Even if you're a woman, I'm quite sure you won't feel threatened. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, or consider supporting the channel via Patreon. See you next time.